everyone. Welcome into PHNX Suns Player Preview. I'm Lindsey Smith. That's Espo. And Espo, today we are going to discuss Cam Payne.
I am not used to being in the analyst seat here. This is going to be interesting, but we'll make it work.
I've never been in an analyst seat, so I feel you. But yes, we will make this work together, talking some teamwork. So let's first go over last year's stats for Cam.
Well, and it was an impressive last year for Cam. Obviously, his first, quote unquote, full season. It wasn't technically a full season, but as they only played the 72 games, but Cam played in 60 of those games, averaged 18 minutes, had those 8.4 points, 2.4 rebounds, 3.6 assists. Overall, he took his game to a new level in that season after having, and we can talk about how he wound up, earning his contract, and we will in this, but he wound up having a career year last year, in large part due to Monty Williams, I think, and the confidence and belief Monty had in him, a guy who's been well-traveled is a kind way to put it. And Cam came through. He gave you everything you needed from a backup to Chris Paul. The only thing we didn't really see a lot of, and that's because of Chris Paul's impressive health until the playoffs, we didn't see him have to start a lot of games, play those major minutes because of prolonged injuries for CP3 or prolonged rest for CP3. That may be something that comes into play this season, and it'll be interesting to see how he responds to that. But overall, last season, I don't think you could have asked for more from Cam Payne than what we got.
No, not at all, especially a guy who was out of the league. He played in China. He played in the G League. He was not on an NBA team when the Suns snagged him up. And I think that speaks a lot to his willingness to buy into the system. And I think also Chris Paul is a big reason why he had success last year as well.
Oh, I think in general, Chris Paul, that could be said in any of these player previews.
Very true.
That he had a massive impact on how each and every one of these guys performed last year, reacted. But Cam Payne, it's such a fascinating story, right? Drafted in number 15 overall, I believe, by OKC, and just comes in and doesn't live up to the hype, right? But then takes this very bizarre long road back to the league. I mean, he played for Chicago briefly. Somebody anonymously from the organization says this guy doesn't have an NBA skill set, right? That was a famous thing that came out, and it looked like this poor guy's career completely over. Like you said, goes to China, goes to the G League before the Suns call him as they are heading to the bubble, and Monty goes, "We could use a backup point guard. Can you come to the bubble?" And all of a sudden, he has a great run in the bubble. They bring him back. He has an unbelievable season, and that's how we'll get to the next thing. How he got the bag this summer, right?
Which was a little bit of a lighter bag than I think he could have gotten had he played the field a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And the road to the bag was a long and winding one for sure. And he winds up only signing for 3 years, $19 million, which a little over $6 million a year when you look at it. And I expected him to be much higher than that. I thought that he might be the kind of guy that got out in the open market and saw what other teams were willing to offer and left just because the money was that much more. But I think that speaks to, as Monty Williams likes to say, the program that's being built here in Phoenix. He knew that they took a leap of faith with him, and I think that's exactly what he did with taking this 3-year, $19 million contract with the Suns this summer. It's a leap of faith because deep down, I'm sure he's thinking, I could be the heir apparent to Chris Paul here.
And I don't think that's outside of the realm of possibility. Is he as good of a point guard as Chris Paul? Absolutely not.
No.
But having more time in this system that he knows he works well in, with Chris Paul and Monty Williams in his ear guiding him along, we could see him progress a lot as a leader on the team, as a floor general, which we'll get into that a little bit later. But I think that's a lot of the reason why he was willing to take the hometown deal, if you will, with the Phoenix Suns, because the chances of him being more successful in year 2, 3, and 4 here with the Suns, I think are greater than him being successful with a team that he doesn't have the experience with, that he doesn't necessarily know if they're going to give him the same opportunities or treat him the same way as this team and organization have.
Yeah, and with a 3-year deal, it still puts him in a position to get a lucrative contract at the end of that. This isn't a guy in his 30s where that may have been his last chance for a big deal. And still, this is a sizable deal. We shouldn't say it's not.
For a guy who was in China and in the G League, a 3-year, $19 million contract is not a bad contract.
No, and it's tough to even insinuate it, especially he still is the backup. But if he grows into that role, he could wind up getting a large payday at the end of those 3 years. And the best situation likely for the Suns is he does grow into being able to be the heir apparent to Chris Paul, and they can add a young guy behind him who can grow the way Payne did under CP3, and it becomes a cycle.
Right.
Where which the Suns have been known for great point guard play, with the exception of probably the 5 years prior to Ricky Rubio showing up and the poo-poo platter that they rotated through at the point guard position. No offense to Elliot Kobo and the likes, but not the level of point guard play. Actually, offense to those guys.
You need better point guards.
It was offense to those guys. But look, the Tyler Eulises of the world weren't what we knew and loved from Phoenix Suns point guards. A lot of Hall of Fame caliber guys have come through here and played that position, and I think you can build that back up with the pipeline of Payne behind CP3.
So our anonymous scout, let's get into some of his strengths and weaknesses, and maybe some things that you would like to see him improve on this year. So our anonymous scout said that his strengths are that he is an energy guy and he makes pretty good decisions. But the question is, can he keep that up consistently if he is seeing more minutes?
Well, and I think that's a fair question, and probably part of the reason why he wound up out of the league was there wasn't consistency. We have not seen that in Phoenix. Every time he steps on the court, he plays consistently, plays his heart out, has played at a high level, has been able to shoot the ball, and been a nice change of pace to Chris Paul likes to slow the game down, and then you get that 1-2 punch with Payne coming in and wanting to speed it up. And he's been consistent in that. But with increased minutes, which may happen due to there we go. Due to CP3's age, I'm a 5-year-old. It's just the way it goes. Due to CP3's age, we may see additional minutes for Payne. And then, the question is, okay, you did it in short spurts.
Right.
Now can you do it for the long term? In the playoffs, when Chris Paul was out due to COVID, he came through. But when you have to do that 10, 12 games in a row, we'll have to see.
And I think that's one of the big things to keep an eye out for this year, because hopefully, I'm putting this out there in the world, Chris Paul does take a little bit of a step back, because I want him to have the energy and the health later on in the season. But hopefully Cam can continue that level of consistency throughout the entire season with elevated minutes. For me personally, I think where I would really like to see Payne grow this year, and he's spoken about it too at training camp, is his leadership and just being the floor general, the extension of Monty Williams for this team. And I'm glad that he mentioned it at training camp. And I think obviously learning from a guy like Chris Paul, he couldn't be in a better situation to develop that skill set more. So that's one thing I'll be keeping an eye out on. Like, I just want to see him manage a team really well, not get caught up in emotions, let the game kind of come to him and not force it, while still keeping the energy, of course. There's a balance there.
You got to find the right balance between that emotion and being able to be that leader.
But I think that's one of the areas where I would like to see him take a step forward, is just being the extension of the coach even more.
And I think he will, because this is his second full year with this group. And with most guys returning, he's earned that respect, because I hate it in sports that it's assumed that's just given, that a guy because of circumstances or whatever, can come in and be a leader. Even if Chris Paul had to come in and earn it with some of his teammates in every stop.
Devin Booker had to earn it. Everyone wanted to make Devin Booker the leader of this team when he was really young, and he wasn't that guy at first. No. It's a learned trait as well. Not everyone is a naturally born leader.
Yes. I want to transition to, it's not game time. It's not the game yet. Okay. Don't worry. You still have a few more minutes.
I mean, this one is still a game though, right?
But it is. A film study. One of my favorites that we're going to do in this, I want you to name a movie that best describes Cam Payne's role on this team. I have one, but I'm going to let you go first. I want to hear.
So, as always, I take a weird route to these
That's
things.
Fine.
Okay, because it's not a movie, and it actually hasn't come out yet.
It's not a movie, and it hasn't, so it doesn't qualify in the game, but go ahead, Lindsay.
Squid Games Season 2, and I will explain. In Squid Games Season 1, somebody wins the game.
Do we need to spoiler alert this?
Maybe a little bit of spoiler alerts if you haven't seen it, but I'll try my best not to fully spoiler alert it, right? But you understand the premise of Squid Games. People are playing games to win money at the end without dying.
Child's games, right?
Yes,
kids games, much like basketball.
Cam Payne has played the game. He had to go G League, China, now back in the NBA. He had to survive all of that to get to the point where now he has a substantial contract in the league. So he won Squid Games. Now the question is, what happens in Season 2? Does the winner of Squid Games become the leader? Does the winner of Squid Games end up falling off the rails? Like, what happens in Season 2? We don't know yet. So that's why I'm going to go with Cam Payne as Season 2 of Squid Games.
I will give you it. That's fine. We got there and it makes sense.
Okay.
Mine is a little more conventional.
All right.
I said Inside Out.
Okay.
Right. And the premise has nothing to do with being inside the emotions of a little girl or anything. Not like that. I simply the title of it encompasses what Cam Payne is going to have to do well with that second unit in playing the Inside Out game with JaVale McGee, making sure that he builds that chemistry and the two of them can play at a level that's similar to what we see with CP3 and DeAndre Ayton on that second unit if this team wants to be successful. So I'm going to say Inside Out.
So it's more so just the title then?
Yeah. Okay. That one, I didn't go the premise. You went far deeper than I did, which I'm impressed.
I didn't understand fully the assignment, I don't think.
No, you did. I slacked off. And when we decided we were doing these today, I went, oh, crap, I have 5 meetings. So Inside Out sounds good.
Okay,
so you did the assignment correctly.
I mean, I think that's a good one, for sure.
It's all right.
I hope Squid Games Season 2 comes out soon. I'm just saying. Off topic.
I have to watch Season 1 before. I assume that the analogy worked, so I'll give you credit. We're going to play a game that I don't think you're looking forward to.
I'm going to fail miserably.
This is a game that we actually played with Cam Johnson when he was on the program. It is called Only Cams. It's where I'm going to give you a statement. You have to tell me, is it Cam Payne, Cam Johnson, or Cam Newton? I'm going to run through these fast, so you're just going to have to answer extemporaneously. Just throw it out there.
It's going to be so bad.
We're going to put a pretend minute on the clock because we don't have that kind of technology.
Okay.
We'll just pretend. Okay, I will start. Was a Panther and a Tar Heel.
Cam Johnson.
Correct. Once called China home.
Cam Newton?
We just talked about
Cam
you
Payne.
Failed Cam Payne.
Called China home. I was thinking that in a different way.
Was named to an all ACC first team.
Cam Johnson.
Correct. Blinn College in Brenham, Texas was his home at one point. Was his school.
Cam Newton?
Correct. Went to a college that shares a name with the Cardinals quarterback.
Cam Payne.
Correct.
I remember this one.
Won a national title in Glendale, Arizona.
Cam Newton?
Correct.
No, wait, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Played for Carolina.
Cam Johnson.
That is incorrect. Both Cam Newton and Cam Johnson. Carolina Panthers, Carolina Tar Heels.
Okay.
So you missed 2.
Okay. I didn't do as bad as I thought I was going to, but I was really nervous. I feel like I always screw those things up.
You're not as good as Cam Johnson was. He only missed 1, but that was a great effort. Even though we'll just pull the curtain back. I gave you a few of those answers beforehand because you were so worried you were going to fail.
I don't want to go for 10 on this one.
So you did not. That was a valiant effort.
Oh my gosh.
So Any final thoughts on campaign? What are your thoughts? I've talked a lot, but I want to give you
No,
a chance.
I mean,
here.
I feel like I added. I
You
talked
did.
a decent
You did,
amount. I
but
don't think you over talked.
Okay, good.
No, not at all. No, but again, for Cam, he does a lot of things really well. So, and I think this is something I will probably repeat in a lot of these player profiles, is a few percent better in a bunch of different areas, and it'll make a huge difference. So I just hope he takes the next step this year in a lot of those different areas and continues to grow under Monty and Chris Paul. And, I'll be honest, I hope one day he can take the reins from Chris Paul. But that's less of like skill and more just, I love his story and I want to see him succeeding.
I love that a few percent better sounds like a Montyism. So congratulations.
Wait, didn't Monty have like a 2% better every day kind of a thing?
I think so.
I feel like his first season he might have.
So did you just steal that from me? Okay.
It was an unintentional theft.
An unintentional Montyism.
Yes.
We'll accept that.
But yeah, so I think that's it. That'll be good for campaign. And guys, thanks for joining us for campaign's player preview, and we'll see you next time.